Greetings, my people. How you all doing out there? It's been a long time. It's been about 2 weeks since we last uploaded a video. So welcome to another edition of Arsenal Future podcast, show, stream, content section, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new around here. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos. We've done over 100 videos so far, so like you can go back in time and like them, and it helps with the algorithms. It helps to get YouTube to actually push our videos, our content out there around the world, and helps to grow the channel. And if we're growing, then you're growing. That's how I see it, because there will come a time when we'll be able to give away some prizes. Not yet, because it's early days, so we don't have that pull at the moment. But there will come a time when we have that pull, and we have that great numbers of subscribers and so on, and then you'll benefit because we'll start to give away prizes. We'll set competitions and thus so on and so forth. So I hope you're all alright out there. Wow, there's lots of videos to come. We're going to do a content coming soon about our latest transfer targets. In actual fact, I was actually researching that one yesterday and getting the getting the uploads ready for that one, the thumbnails and so on, and doing some research around the players we're linked with. And you'll get that. If you don't get that one later on in the morning, you get that sometime tomorrow, which now is Saturday. Today's Friday, the 31st of May. And then we've also got another one to do with our season review. You know, we're going to rate our players for the last season. We're still in this season because the Champions League is still going. Champions League is tomorrow. So for this season, and we're going to be doing that one sometime maybe next week. It could be Sunday or Monday of next week. So that'll be the 1st of June. The 1st of June is tomorrow, Saturday. And so if not the 1st of June, Saturday, you get it on probably the 2nd or 3rd of June. So that'll be next week, Sunday or Monday. So look out for that one. Just keep your notifications on and keep your heads this way. Yeah, we're here to talk about Arsenal 89. You know, I should have done this one on May the 26th. I should have done it last week. It was last week last week Sunday, but I had to do some things. I had some assignments to do, and I also had to go and do some work. And when I got back, I was tired, so I couldn't get to do it. I do apologize, but we're here to talk about Arsenal. You can see that's our season. That season's home kit. Of course, we won up at Anfield. We're in the away kit. I don't have that away kit with me at this moment in time. I had one years ago, but I don't know what happened to it when I was moving. I think it got thrown out or got damaged. I've not seen it for about 20 years. But that's the home kit, of course, of that season. We won many games in that kit. And of course, we were sometimes on the road if our kits didn't clash with other teams. For example, Spurs, Sheffield Wednesday, etc., etc., etc. And that, I'll never forget that day. That was a Friday. So we're talking about Friday, May the 26th, 1989. I was not into football that heavily at the time. I did support Arsenal, but I've got to be honest. I'm going to do a post about this. I'm going to do a video about this coming down the line, how I got into supporting Arsenal. I actually at that time supported both Arsenal and Tottenham, and I also had a thing for Liverpool. Because a lot of my friends supported Arsenal, and a lot of my friends, one or two of my friends supported Liverpool, but mostly because I'm from North London, it was either Arsenal or Tottenham. And actual fact, I went to a school just behind, not far from the Spurs ground. In actual fact, I went to a school called Lancasterian. At that time, I was at Lancasterian Junior School, which is just up the road off Park Lane. You go up Church Road, and then Lancasterian is just on the corner of Church Road. You could not miss it, but you've got to go up from the Spurs ground, which is on this side. Then you cross over, you're on the high road, Tottenham High Road. Then off the other side, there's Church Road. There's a school there for St. Francis, just off on the same road as Church Road. So it's on Church Road. You're gonna go further up, go up for about another 300 yards, and then the Lancasterian is just on the corner. And so, yeah. So many times I came home from school when I was old enough for my parents to let me walk home from school. I'd walk past the Spurs ground. Sometimes I walk down on Park Lane and then the Spurs ground. I think it's the west. Is it the west stand? No, the south stand is on Park Lane. You know, and then my road is just further up from there. I'm not going to say where I was living at the time, but those who know. And I'll never forget the morning, everyone was talking about the game at school. They were saying, who do you think is going to win? Arsenal? or Liverpool. And I remember, never forget it. Everybody, more a lot of the kids in our school going for Arsenal to win. I know that Liverpool are very good because I used to hear a lot of my school friends, my play friends at the time, talk about. I was what? I was 11 at the time. I was 11, yeah. So I used to hear a lot of my school friends. The little I knew about football at that time. I always hear my school friends talk about how good Liverpool were, and yeah, was had kids wearing Liverpool shirts at that time. Excuse me. At that time, Liverpool was sponsored by Candy, but I used to see a lot of the crime prints, crime when they were sponsored by crime paints. That was in about 84, 85, 86. And a lot of the kids at our school would wear the crime prints. I never forget the shirts, the tops. But at that time, Liverpool was sponsored by Candy. So I started to see a lot of Candy. But I used to see the Liverpool bird on as a crest. And it's Candy now. But when you're young, you didn't know what these things were, this new sponsorship and the new logos and so on. But I used to hear a lot of my school friends talk about. Then word got around that Arsenal started to come. They're beating Liverpool in the League Cup and the Littlewoods Cup 2 years before. And Arsenal now becoming like a bit of a force and so on. And George Graham was there and so on. Going looking back, the research I've done, I didn't know these things at the time. All I knew that Arsenal in London. I knew they were in London, but I didn't know. I didn't know anything. Then after a while, in sometime in 1989, I got my first sticker album, Panini sticker album, and then I started to, knit two and two together. I got to find out who the players were, the manager, some of the things who won. I remember the first player I remember seeing Arsenal was David Rocastle, because my friend had a sticker album, the same sticker album as me, Panini, and he gave me a sticker of David Rocastle, and everyone was saying that Rocastle at that time was our best player. And I remember one of my school friends running around, the football pitch at school, saying, Rocastle, Rocastle, Rocastle. I said, well, I got the sticker. And then it started to dawn on me that Rocastle was our best player. And so then we had a lot of good players at that time. We had Paul Merson was a young player at the time. Rocastle was young. Michael Thomas, who was going to actually win us the title up at Anfield, that second goal. He was young. We had a young team. We had Smudger, who wasn't. He was young, but he wasn't as young as those other guys. But he was our main striker, our top scorer. We had people like Brian Marwood, we had Martin Hayes, we had Nigel Winterburn. I remember Tony Adams because I remember a lot of the school kids at my school was talking about Tony Adams, how dominant he was in defence and how good he was in the air. We had John Lukage, our goalkeeper, and so on and so forth, many others. And I remember the night we played Liverpool, we wore yellow. And I saw we were in yellow. But at that time, a lot of these things were new to me. The colour of the change, away strips and so on. It was all new to me. The title and so on. I remember the first game I remember was when we drew 1-1 with Liverpool. I think that was in the December of 1988. It was either December of 88 or January of 89. I remember that was one of my first games of me ever seeing Arsenal. Even though I was introduced to Arsenal in 87 by my cousin, which I'll talk about when I do that stream about, or that video about how I got into supporting Arsenal. My best friend from Nottingham, who came down there, his name's Adrian, and he was also a big Arsenal. Of course, he supported Arsenal. He got one of the guys along with my cousin who got me into supporting Arsenal and so on, because he gave me a sticker of David Rocastle for my Panini book, and that's why I got hooked on Arsenal, because he was my best friend and he supported Arsenal. And then when I watched that game in our front room, I remember my dad, my pops was out, and I think my stepmother, because I never got my real mother. My stepmother, I think they'd gone out somewhere. So I had a whole front room to myself. I couldn't believe it. And so I remember watching the game. I was never going to miss that game. And I remember watching the game. It was dramatic. And then, of course, Smudger scored to put us 1-0 up. I think it was just after half time. He scored to put us 1-0 up. And I was nervous. I didn't know what it was, but I was very nervous. And then afterwards, and my friend explained to me what it meant, what the game meant, and we'll have to win by 2 goals to win the league and so on. And that's how I got to realise how important this match was. I knew how good Liverpool was, I said, because a lot of the kids in our school support Liverpool, and our Liverpool tops, and then I hear some of my school friends talk about how good they were and so on, and then some members of my family would talk about how good they were. And then they'll say Arsenal are a force. They're becoming a very good team. They're a big club, but they've been sleeping giant for many years. But they're starting to come up on Liverpool's tails now. And then that's how I got a gauge of how good the teams were. But Liverpool were the overwhelming favourites to win the match. They really were. And they had some very good players. I used to remember seeing John Barnes. He used to stand out because he was black, the only black player Liverpool had at the time. And then he was very good at dribbling with the ball, beating players for fun and scoring spectacular goals and so on. Then I started to watch England around that time, and I remember seeing a lot of the players, all these players playing for England. So my friend had to explain to me what playing for your national team meant, that your best players who play for the clubs will get called up for their national teams, and then they'll represent their national teams at tournaments or at friendlies. And that's how I got to realise what all this international thing was. But my friend explained it to me so well, and after a while I started to buy Match, like one of the biggest football magazines at that time. Match, then Shoot, and then 442 came out, I think, around, I remember seeing 442 around 91 or 1990, but I started buying Match in 1989. I started buying Shoot around the same time, 89, and then after a year or two, then I started buying 442. I think 442 came out, if it didn't come out 1990, it came out 91, around that time. But I remember when I was buying Shoot, I didn't see 442. Then I started buying World Soccer as well around the same time as Match and Shoot, 89, and so on. And then those were and I wish I had them there, but when I was moving, I think they got thrown out or something. But I'm going to go back and get some money. When I get some money, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try and buy some on eBay or Amazon, get some of the older copies from around that time. I still got a few here, but there's not many. A lot of them got thrown out when I left my parents over 20 years ago now. And so that was a Friday I could never forget. All my friends were hyped for that match. A lot of them were Arsenal supporters, but you had a few Liverpool supporters in there. You had some Spurs supporters who thought that Liverpool were going to crush Arsenal, typical, and so on. But a lot of my Arsenal friends, majority of them, if not all of them, said we were going to win, we were going to do it. Of course, Liverpool supporters, amongst my friends said, "Now we're going to beat you up." But a lot of people were going for Arsenal. Even the neutrals were saying Arsenal could do this because they've been very good all season long. And Arsenal were up the top and Liverpool were behind. And they came in, I think, a 20-game unbeaten run, sweeping all before them, and then came to level on points and so on. And then we ended up winning that match. I think we won it with 76 points, which in this day and age is something of a rarity, because nowadays you're going to get this with the dominance of Manchester City. We've just seen the season gone by where we lost out to Man City after more or less only losing one game since the turn of the year. So this Man City team will push you, but that Liverpool team was very, very good. They're awesome. They won the league the year before only losing 2 games. They should have done a double, but Wimbledon beat them in that final. And then that season they won the FA Cup with Liverpool. That was the first FA Cup final I ever remember seeing, the 3-2 game after extra time at Wembley against Everton. And they were going for the double again. So we stopped them. And so that was kudos to Arsenal, George Graham, and our whole team. And I never forget Michael Thomas scoring through. He had gone through before, but he had missed. But this time he'd gone through. I don't know where I was. I can't remember what I was doing at the time, but I remember when he went through, I was like elated because Arsenal were my new. Because as I said, I was conflicted between Arsenal and Spurs. When you're young, you don't really know the difference between the rivalry. But because my best friend supported, my cousin supported Arsenal, and they introduced me to Arsenal, I said, "Oh, let's go for Arsenal," because they gave me David Rocastle, and he was black. All these things kind of stood out, and they wore red, and red's my favourite colour. Even though Liverpool wore red, but red was mine, and because they're based in London, it all made sense to me to support Arsenal. But I still like Spurs because they're my local team, and I liked Chris Waddle. I remember that. Waddle, and I'd like Paul Gascoigne and Waddle. And Waddle left, and then when Waddle left, I was upset because I wanted Waddle, and then when they bought Lineker, I wanted to see Waddle, Lineker, and Gascoigne play to get all together for Spurs. But after a while, I started to drift from Spurs. I was still Arsenal. It was Arsenal and Spurs, either one or two. Then after a while, I said I'm going to completely wipe Spurs out, and then just fully support Arsenal full time, But I'll never forget that Friday. That was the day when we actually, we did it. And then when I saw Tony Adams lifting the Champions League trophy, I thought, wow, that is incredible. That's the first time I've seen any team lift the trophy when we won up at Anfield, that famous Friday night, May the 26th, 1989. I've never seen a trophy before. And that was the first time I see Arsenal lift the trophy like that. Then I think, if I'm not mistaken, Yeah, no, that's my second time because I remember when Liverpool won the FA Cup. I think it was the week before against Everton. Because normally the FA Cup final is the last game of the season. And I remember when Liverpool beat Everton, and then I remember when they lifted the trophy. I think it was Alan Hansen lifted the FA Cup trophy at Wembley. Then so when Tony Adams lifted that league title trophy up at Anfield, that was the second time I'd ever seen anybody lift a trophy like that up ahead at the. And so, but it never really simmered into my mind. And then the year later, when Liverpool won it in '99, which they'd gone 30 years after winning it again in 2020, they're gone. Nobody expected them to go so long without winning it because they were so dominant at that time. And even Arsenal were pushing them. They were still the dominant team. Then when I saw how they won it a year later in 1990, then I said, oh, so I started to understand what this league thing was about. Those the team who accumulates the most points wins the title. Then I remember the year after, 1991, we won it again for the second time in the space of 2 years. And so, or some would say the space of 3 years. Yeah, we won it 2 out of 3 seasons. And so 1991, so that's when I started to really, okay, we're champions. And so it became something I became proud of supporting Arsenal because we were winning titles and they would push the great Liverpool side. They were a dominant force. They were like had a monopoly in English football. They're winning it. I remember in the 80s. I don't remember, but I read in the 80s because at the time I didn't know what football even was. Didn't like football. Like they're winning it regularly. They won it 3 in a row one time in the early 80s, and then Everton came and pushed them, and Everton faded away after a couple of years. And then we came. We was there for a while. And then we never went a few years right when it. Then we won it again. Arsene Wenger walked up and won it again in '98. But that just goes to show you that was that scene in '89 up at Anfield was so magical. And then you've seen some pictures there on this stream where we're going to pull up and show you memories of Arsenal winning up at Anfield in '89. Just to go over the video to kind of give you a picture for those of you who weren't born at the time or didn't know much about it to see what it meant to Arsenal and so on. And that was such a great triumph for Arsenal in 1989. And that's why, we launched this channel, Arsenal Future, on May the 26th, 2023. So I had to do it in that day because that day is such a special, and for me, it's still the greatest day of our modern history. I wasn't around in 1971 when we won the double in 1971, and when we won the FA Cup in '79 against Manchester United in spectacular fashion. Some say it's one of the greatest finals of all time, a 3-2 win against Manchester United in 1979. I wasn't there obviously in the 30s when we were winning titles in the 30s, when we won our first European trophy in 1970, when we won the European Fairs Cup against Anderlecht. So all of that was before, I could even, I came down on earth, So I remember the recent triumphs, and the '89 one still sticks out of all the other triumphs. Even when we won the Cup Winners' Cup, we won the doubles on the Wenger, the other league on the Georgie, I just mentioned in '91. And so on. That '89 one was special because it was Liverpool and to go to their own patch, to go to their own ground, the mighty Anfield, the fortress that is Anfield, and to go up there and win exactly by the scoreline that we needed to win. 2-0, keeping a clean sheet and scoring 2 goals against a machine, the equivalent of Manchester City in those days, what Manchester City are now, was absolutely astonishing. And I say love, peace and honour and respect to all of the players who was involved in that match. We say RIP, of course, to Rocky Wildcastle who played in that match, and the George Graham is still alive, and all. A lot of I don't know if members of our staff who was still alive. I don't know if Theo Foley. I think Theo Foley was on the staff. I think he passed away. But say peace and love to all the guys who was there, and the fans. Some of them have passed away because it's 35 years ago. It's a long time, and I suppose some of the older fans who was there at the time may not be around now, and so on. And even to Liverpool fans who made it special. Because one thing I say about Liverpool, they're always very gracious in defeat. At that time, I don't know about now, but at that time, they were always gracious in defeat. And a lot of Liverpool supporters have a lot of respect. Us and Liverpool, we've got mutual respect between each other. So I'll say big up to all the Liverpool fans, peace and love. And of course, peace and love to all of our fans, Arsenal fans, and all the staff and the team. And so, and I want to say RIP to Ronnie Moran, who died a few years ago as well. He was Liverpool. I think it was a Liverpool staff at the time, Ronnie Moran, and so on. So, peace to everybody. And I really thoroughly enjoyed doing this video because, it brings back so much memory to my school days. so much memories to my school days. I remember where I was at the time. I was watching the match in my front room. I remember my parents had gone out and I had the whole front room to myself. And it just brings back so much memories. And I remember even after the match, we went to school the following week, and then everyone was talking about the match. Even the teachers were talking about the match. Some of our teachers, because it was so captivating. And it was such a big thing. And it was a massive talking point, both in the communities and out of the communities. If we went to social gatherings, I remember as a young boy at the time, I went to see family members, and some of my family members supported Arsenal. We would talk about the match. Even people who didn't really like football was talking about it. I've got members of my family who don't like football, but they would talk about the Liverpool and Arsenal match. That's how much it meant to everybody. It was a big thing at that time. You know, it was two heavyweight clubs. At that time, Liverpool the dominant force, Arsenal re-emerging as a force again after nearly 18 years of that winning a title. And it was such a big thing. You know, money can't buy that. It just can't buy that. So I'll say to all of you out there, much love to all of you. Keep subscribing to our channel. You know, it helps with the algorithms, as I keep saying. Like the videos, helps us spread our videos out there to a wider audience. And keep liking our content. We've got a lot of content coming up soon, so look out for it. I'll say adios, alva, aldervirtue. Peace. Much love. Thank you, Arsenal. Come on, you Gunners, for next season. Adios.